My unit, salute. Welcome to the Amped Up Podcast for Monday, June 26th, 2023. We are 5 nights away from the Money in the Bank Premium Live event / pay-per-view. 5 nights away from one of the biggest events on the WWE calendar year. The magnitude of this event is massive to an amplified level because it sets the table for everything going into the summer, especially SummerSlam. This is an event that started at WrestleMania as just a match concept. It then became its own event, and now it's a spectacle. And this Saturday night, it's no different. The decisions that are going to be made, the weight of those decisions are amplified. And internally, the talks are over with WWE from what we're hearing. And my people can confirm what they are hearing and what we are hearing. The talks are over. WWE has come down to the 2 finalists, the 2 names that are going to be hoisting up those briefcases this Saturday night in their respective ladder matches. And we're going to talk about those winners. For the men, this is a dude that BC has defended since day one. When a lot of fans didn't want to hear or see this dude in WWE, BC said not so fast. He at least attaches respect to pro wrestling. He's most likely going to surprise you. And he has a lot to offer the business. And after just 2 matches, which were both match of the year candidates, by the way, one with Rollins, one with Roman Reigns, a lot of fans came back and said, BC, you were right, man. He does have a lot to offer. He's got that it factor. So even though I defended this dude, and I will continue to do such, this Saturday night, when he hoists up that briefcase, it will be a wrong decision. There's no other way to put it. It's not just preference, right? If you don't mind it, if you even like it, that's fine. But there's right and wrong in everything. That's wrong. There's positives of this guy winning, and we'll go over them. But the negatives far outweigh the positives. We're going to talk about it because it's more than likely happening. It's 99.99% like a Clorox wipe happening this Saturday night. And we're just going to prepare you guys for it. And we're going to have a real, honest discussion about it. For the females, this is an individual that is one of BC's favorites in the industry. More than that, it's one of the best female wrestlers on the planet. So why are a lot of fans confused at this booking? That she, after her booking, especially in the last couple of months, that she would hoist up a briefcase this Saturday night. And BC agrees with those fans, actually. One of my favorite wrestlers on the planet, one of the best wrestlers on the planet. But her hoisting up the briefcase actually doesn't make sense. She's more than earned it. Of course she's deserving of it. But booking did her dirty. Paul Levesque, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Like many things in this company, they didn't go about this correctly. And a lot of fans don't understand it. And BC understands their frustrations. So my point is, we're going to talk about all of it, guys. WWE has the final 2 names for Money in the Bank this weekend, Saturday night. And we're going to talk about these winners and what it means going forward. The coolest story we're going to talk about in this podcast is a strong possible return, and not just return, but a triumphant return. Holding up gold when he returns. If you see the thumbnail, you see the headline, you know who I'm talking about. Just a few weeks ago, we were talking about this dude never being able to wrestle again. His own father, unfortunately, all but confirming that. And to now hear these stories, and to hear what is possibly being planned. Is it the right decision? That's another story. BC is going to... I'm going to twist this a little bit, right? A little bit of a plot twist within BC's way of thinking. I would actually do something totally different should this individual return. Something that would even be more fun. I'll explain exactly what I'm talking about. It's all coming up. There's a lot to talk about. We're going to set the table for Money in the Bank, which is 5 nights away. BC is going to down a few more big swigs of his Dunkin' Extra coffee. You guys are going to smash that up. Take a deep breath. Kick your feet up. Come on back. Let's get amplified. Let's go. Ah, damn it. BC's already out of coffee. We just started recording the podcast, and we're out of coffee. Ah! Oh, man. Anyway, let's get this rocking. 5 days away from Money in the Bank premium live event / pay-per-view. If you're a traditionalist, if you're nostalgic like BC, just a little bit nostalgic, you still call it a pay-per-view. For BC, I only watched the Peacock streaming service for WWE events. Maybe some of you guys binge watch Saved by the Bell, more power to you. But I only turn that on for WWE events, so it is still pay-per-view to me. I'm just paying a lot less. $5-10 a month, whatever it is. I have it on autopay. It beats the $50 a month we used to pay, or $150 if you include ECW. But you guys remember Eric Bischoff created the model of a pay-per-view every month. Vince McMahon saw that Eric Bischoff was making a ton of money because Bischoff took a gamble and it paid off. Fans were willing to flock every month and to fork over their money, and Bischoff was making a lot. So Vince was like, we're moving to a pay-per-view every month. Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, King of the Ring, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, that turned in from, it was 4 before King of the Ring. King of the Ring came on to make it 5, and then it became 12 pay-per-views every year, 1 every month, matching WCW. And then ECW put on 3 or 4 a year, bare minimum. One was like barely legal. You remember ECW? So you, at times, there was many months, you had 3 pay-per-views you had to get that were around $50 at least. $150 for pro wrestling a month. That was a lot of, if you were a kid growing up in that era, that was a lot of begging your parents to buy them. That was a lot of chores, right? You were working your ass off, so your parents bought those pay-per-views. Sometimes you could only get 1 or 2, so you had to decide, you had to leave one out, and then you find out that the pay-per-view was really good. Oh, man, if you're a younger fan watching BC right now, man, you didn't know. The struggle was real back in the day. 3 pay-per-views a month at a time. Now, yes, we pay $10 a month, but the quality is gone. I'd rather pay $50 and have it feel like a pay-per-view, like a true spectacle, you know? I guess when it's all said and done, Money in the Bank is still to this day one of those spectacle pay-per-views at least. You still feel good about going into it, you know? You still feel like it's going to be a spectacle of a pay-per-view and not just a premium live event. And it's 5 nights away. As I said in the cold open, the magnitude of this event, it's massive. This sets the table for everything going into the summer. We're going to talk about the victors. WWE has 2 names that they want winning this thing Saturday night, and I'm going to tell you why. It just doesn't make sense. We'll discuss. I want to start off with the big story, man, and it's a good story if this comes to fruition, and I hope it does. Randy Orton. Just a few weeks ago, the pro wrestling was talking about Orton never being able to return to the wrestling ring. He'll come back. He'll be involved with WWE in some way, we believe. Maybe even behind the scenes for something. But he's not going to be able to wrestle again, sadly. And his father told us some unfortunate news. That it's not going well. And his doctors have said they don't think it's a good idea for him to come back. Then we started to hear something about a week ago. Randy Orton looking in incredible shape. And some people close to Orton claiming that Orton is planning an imminent return. Kurt Angle, just recently, within the last 48 hours, Kurt Angle says he's looking great, in great spirits, and he's recovered from his back surgery. And he wouldn't be shocked if he returns imminently, which is what we were hearing a week ago before Kurt Angle even said that. And Kurt Angle is backing up those words, confirming that he recovered from the back surgery. Not is recovering, recovered. Was Orton able to get the doctors to approve his comeback? Because first his doctors have to determine if this is a good decision or not. Then that word gets over to WWE's doctors. They talk with Orton's personal docs, and they come to a conclusion. And then it's WWE's decision. Should they clear him? Orton is stubborn. We know that. He's persistent. He'll do whatever it takes to get his way. There's no doubt that he can convince his doctors that he's ready to go. Will WWE's do such? Daniel Bryan tried that and numerous times, and WWE's doctors were like, no. But my personal doctor said it's okay. WWE said no. I still feel to this day they just didn't want Bryan Danielson to get super over again. I don't think Paul Levesque and Vince McMahon ever wanted Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, to be the top guy. And the crowd just determined otherwise, to the point where they couldn't turn a blind eye anymore. And when I say I think that's the case, I know for a fact that's the case. Till this day, Paul Levesque, Vince McMahon, they probably hate that yes movement ever happened. So I think that was a big decision. I think they were like, no, we don't want to hear it. I don't care how many doctors he says that cleared him, we're not. I truly believe they just didn't want him back. But with Orton, I think it'd be something different. H has a lot of respect for the dude, and I think they would open that door wide open and welcome him back with open arms. Health first and foremost. Right, before you can even dive into a situation like this, health is first and foremost. We hope that his docs know beyond a shadow of a doubt that he can take those type of bumps, and he's not going to wind right back up in their office with a bigger problem with that back. So we hope his health, that if he's cleared to go, that he's really ready to go, and it's not just to try to entertain us so that we can chant, "This is awesome," or give his matches 3 or 4 or 5 stars. No, health first, man. None of that is important. Him walking at the age of 70, 80, that's important. But then you start to hear what is being discussed. Now, this is not just, guys, this is not just like rumor. Otherwise, if this was just rumor, oh, we're hearing that WWE is discussing this internally, we wouldn't be talking about this right now. This is literally being discussed. Randy Orton is being talked about internally in that company to return and take the title from Gunther, the IC championship. Now, there's many things that I'm hearing, right? I mean, the story kind of takes on different versions, but at least that tells BC that it is being talked about. We just have to narrow down which version is the most accurate. Because another version I heard was Orton is going to cost Gunther and Matt Riddle will actually take the IC title. So I'm hearing different variations, but what I'm hearing more than anything is they want Randy Orton to be the guy to take the title. Now, as of right now, as I aforementioned, or I believe I just aforementioned, I don't believe this match is penciled in for Money in the Bank. Matt Riddle, Scooter McGee versus Gunther for the IC title. I believe there's only 5 announced matches. Solo Sikoa and Roman versus the Usos. The 2 ladder matches, Dominic Mysterio versus Cody Rhodes, and Sethington Rollins versus Finn Balor. So I think they're holding off on this because they want to see where Randy Orton is situation-wise. They would like to include him in this match. Not actually wrestling, but costing Gunther or being involved in some way. So if that match is made official for Money in the Bank, don't be shocked. Still have a lot of fun with it. It's going to be a massive pop, and it's going to be so good to see this dude. Especially when a few weeks ago we were talking about he might never wrestle again. And here he is involved in a big story here. So it'll be cool to see, but don't be shocked if Randy Orton actually shows up in London during that Gunther-Matt Riddle match. And even if that doesn't come to fruition, they could extend this into SummerSlam. Give Randy Orton a few more months. another month at least. What is it? A few more weeks, a little over a month, more time. And then maybe they hold off. SummerSlam is when they have Randy Orton come back and cost Gunther or take the title from Gunther. But that's what they want. It makes sense because he's in this tag team with Matt Riddle, RK Bro, before his injury. So it makes sense that he's going to come back and be involved with Matt Riddle. This is where I throw the curveball plot twist. I would not have him taking the title from Gunther. Guys, that's a lot of weight to put on his shoulders when he first comes back, first of all. You don't know how his injury is going to be after the first few bumps, let alone the first few matches. He could re-aggravate, there you go, that injury. He could have overcompensated while he was out. And when you overcompensate an injury, the rest of your body works double so that the body part in question can heal. He might have overcompensated and something else gets injured, right? Hideki Matsui, he was a New York Yankee outfielder. He never got injured. He played every day. One day, after many years with the Yankees, he injured his knee. When he came back, oddly, his other knee blew out. People were like, how is that possible? He was Mr. Durable. He never got injured. He had a freak accident on his knee, and now all of a sudden his other knee blew out. He overcompensated. That other leg took so much abuse while the other leg was healing. You don't know how the back, so a lot of times the back does that. And you work other areas, you don't even realize it with your back. So you don't know how you're going to heal even when you come back. Throwing a title on him not only compromises the title trajectory if something does go wrong, but for Randy Orton and his trajectory, it greatly compromises that. You put a lot more responsibility on him by throwing a title on him right from the jump. I would not have him take the title from Gunther straight out. And you got to think, there's going to be some ring rust. You got to give him a little bit of time. What does that do for Gunther? If this dude just comes back and he puts you on your back looking up at the lights 1, 2, 3 and you lose your championship, it doesn't make Gunther look that great. And I know you say, BC, it's Randy Orton, man. It's more than believable. It still doesn't do that much for Gunther. No, you see what BC would do? I would throw the curveball plot twist. I would have Orton come back, and this is what I've wanted when they were in a team, RK Bro. I wanted it, and I never got it because he got injured. I wanted him as a heel. I wanted the old school legend killer, Randy Orton. The Viper at the most diabolical levels. I wanted that Orton. I want Orton coming back, costing Matthew Riddle, Scooter McGee, the IC title. It's perfect. Gunther gets to carry on his IC title reign. You don't have added responsibility in a negligent way onto Randy Orton when he first comes back, because I don't think that's a good thing. And you have something, a way out for Matthew Riddle, Scooter McGee, not to win the title, but still save face. And then Scooter McGee can go on to a really good storyline, and he doesn't even have to have a title on the line for it. Everybody wins. Gunther wins, Matthew Riddle wins, and Randy Orton wins. And we, the fans, get to see that Orton back. And we get to see that feud go right through the summer, Randy Orton versus Matthew Riddle. I would throw the curveball. I would not do the easy thing and have him just show up, win the title from Gunther. I would have him defeat, or not defeat, I don't even care about the match up front. I care about the story igniting. I want the feud to really kick into high gear. Randy Orton, Matt Riddle, Scooter McGee. Let's do it right when Orton comes back. You think he's going to help Matt Riddle, and he RKOs him. Gunther takes him out 1, 2, 3. Randy Orton screwed Matt Riddle. You get the big pop. Everybody sees Orton, and then they're all like, oh, you screwed Riddle. That's the creator in BC, man. That is such more of a moment of great magnitude. And again, it cuts Randy Orton some slack. It's a lot of responsibility if he's just going to show up and get a title. You don't know how that back is going to be. You got to feel that out, man. Feel it out. First couple of matches, see what you're doing right and wrong, what you got to cut back on. Doing that where the title is putting an unnecessary spotlight on you. So, that's the sitch. That's just what we're hearing. coming from weeks ago, just weeks ago, hearing that he'll never wrestle again, to now an imminent return. Kurt Angle saying that he recovered from his back surgery. He's looking in phenomenal shape. And don't be surprised if he comes back sooner, not later. Well, BC's hearing the same things. What does that mean? Does he show up at Money in the Bank to start something? Do they hold it off till SummerSlam? It's going to be interesting to see what they do with this man and how they make him return. I just don't know if beating Gunther for the IC title is the best way to go. Interesting to see what you guys think about it. But it's a triumphant story because just weeks ago we were talking about something tragically different. So to hear that he's, man, you don't want to say too, you don't want to jinx it. You hope that this does come to fruition, that what we are hearing being discussed in those walls, we hope that it comes to fruition. We hope that it happens, man. Because it's a hell of a lot more fun when Randy Orton is involved. I wasn't truly behind the RK Bro thing. It didn't do anything for me, but I could see if you're a kid, I could see how that was, even though it was 420, it was like for kids, but not for kids. I don't know what RK Bro was. Maybe that's why I never really understood it. I just wanted Randy Orton to turn on Matt Riddle. I hope I get that sooner rather than later, man, when he comes back, should he come back, which is what we're hearing. Big news, man. Big news. Randy Orton being inserted into the Matt Riddle-Gunther feud and what that means for that IC title. Could we hear and new? And it's Randy Orton? Can't even fathom that, man. Just weeks ago, we were talking about never seeing him in the ring competing. All right, let's talk about it. Right now, I would get a swig of my coffee, but I have none left. A sip, and I got to save that for the end of this podcast. The men's Money in the Bank winner. They're going with Logan Paul. You guys know how I feel about this by now, man. I am firmly behind L.A. Knight. Yeah, winning this thing. And it's nothing to even do with deserving it, earning it. Of course he deserves it. Of course he's earned it. Guys, he's one of the most over pro wrestlers right now in the industry. As a heel, with no support from the mammoth giant company he works for. The conglomerate of WWE has not even backed this dude with booking. Notice how I didn't say with good booking. He gets no booking. LA Knight was left off of WrestleMania when he was the loudest name being chanted, the SmackDown before Mania. He was left off of Mania. He was left off of Backlash in Puerto Rico. He was left off of Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. And now he's being thrusted of one of 7 or 8 individuals for Money in the Bank. And he's not even going to win that, it looks like. The company is going Logan Paul. One of the most over dudes, and you haven't even given him the time of day. Could you imagine if they gave him proper booking? What LA Knight would do for that company. And they're going Logan Paul. Because Paul Levesque loves, if you don't know, Paul Levesque loves Logan Paul. Of course, Vincent Kennedy does too. He's got a little bit of, appeal outside of pro wrestling. And Vince loves that. But Paul Levesque, well documented, wants to give Logan Paul the world. And so they're going to go Logan Paul over L.A. Knight. Yeah. Logan Paul is somebody I've defended from day one because I know he's got that it factor. He brings a lot to the table. He can work wonders for the company. Him holding up that briefcase. I understand why some people are going to say it makes sense. There's positives, right? It works for Logan Paul. Whenever he shows up, he's got the briefcase. Key word is whenever, right? Because he's part-time. But he'll have a briefcase. He'll go out onto other endeavors. He's got his own successful podcast. He has a soft drink that's wildly popular right now and getting more and more traction. He does interviews with ESPN and other things. He shows up to his brother's boxing events, all that. I get it. And WWE gets it. So the appeal is there more than LA Knight. That's where it ends. That's literally where it ends. LA Knight is also a heel. And LA Knight brings more to the actual company from within. LA Knight can become a bigger star than he is right now. WWE is going out of their way to dim the star that he's created for himself. That's because Vince McMahon didn't create LA Knight. In fact, because of his age, Vince McMahon was fine keeping him Max Dupree. Paul Levesque doesn't see what all of us see in LA Knight. He changed his name back after a lengthy conversation, thankfully, and then that's where it ended. LA Knight was never one of Paul Levesque's boys. Paul Levesque was never Papa H to LA Knight. Paul Levesque never created LA Knight. And just like Vince, Paul Levesque doesn't like when he doesn't create you, when you don't look at him as Papa H. So now you have a guy like LA Knight who's going to once again be stifled for a part-timing Logan Paul. LA Knight showing up to SmackDown events with that briefcase. What LA Knight would do with that briefcase, how it would elevate his star, which in turn would elevate the product, should far outweigh the tiny positives that briefcase on Logan Paul delivers. If you think him having that briefcase on his podcast is bringing viewers to the product, and you think that's going to outweigh what your own talent in LA Knight can do, your full-time talent, if you have that little trust, little respect in LA Knight, that speaks volumes. Because Logan Paul's podcast is not going to bring you viewers just because a briefcase is in the background. If Logan Paul was full-time, possibly I'd be more behind this decision, and that's a strong possibly. He's not, guys. We already know the details in his contract. He already leaked that out. I don't think he was supposed to. He's got limited dates. He's only having a few wrestling matches, and by a few, 3 to 4 a year. And they're just going to throw a briefcase on him like it's a toy being sold in aisle 5 of Target right next to the toy championships. That's why all the titles have big W's. They know, I told you this a million times. Everybody says, why do the new titles still have to have big W's in the middle? They want it as a toy. They deliver them to the sporting teams that win their championships. They just delivered a title to the Denver Nuggets. NHL hockey got one, whoever won their Stanley Cup. That's what they do. They deliver the titles. And then on ESPN or in the parades, the title is being passed around to all the players. And then they want kids to go, oh, I want that title. You go into Target, you got the big W title, you buy it. That's why all the titles look the same in WWE. Well, the briefcase now it's not going to be prestigious. And the event should be looked at as prestigious. But it's not going to be that spectacle for long if you keep making these decisions. It's no more than a toy if you place it on Logan Paul. Where if somebody like LA Knight gets it, yeah, that's damn well prestigious. He's going to do wonders for that every single week. He'll be holding that thing. And you'll always be reminded at any moment he could go for that. Makes sense. With Logan Paul, who's he going to catch? He ain't going for Roman Reigns. Stop it. After all of this, Roman Reigns is going to lose to Logan Paul when Roman already defeated Paul. He's not going to go for Sethington Rollins. Logan Paul already lost to Sethington. Him just coming back now with a briefcase to take it from Sethington. Really? That's the best you got? And we believe that Sethington is going to drop it to Drew McIntyre, by the way. So then you're saying because Drew McIntyre would be a heel, and Logan Paul's a heel, so we have to wait till somebody takes it from Drew, and all of that would just be for Logan to get it. No, build up LA Knight. Drew gets it, in time a face gets it, and right around Mania next year, you have LA Knight hold on to that thing. And that's when he takes it from whoever the face is that has it at the time. LA Knight has a massive Mania victory. There's so much you can do creatively. This guy is just waiting to shine brighter than anything in that company. And the company is doing everything in their power to dim that star power in LA Knight. Logan Paul, there's some positives, The negatives far outweigh it. The positives of LA Knight winning far outweigh the positives of Logan Paul. And this is coming from somebody that has defended Logan Paul and will continue to do such. I don't throw shade on the dude. I want to see the best out of him. His matches are immaculate. And I'll be the first to tell you that is the wrong decision. Because I'm looking miles ahead at what's coming up. SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Rumble, LA Knight with that briefcase. And the company finally showing the world that they are putting their trust and they're putting the rocket on this dude. That speaks volumes. Man, Saturday night, if Logan Paul overshadows LA Knight, that's a tragic situation. To the most amplified of measurements. That's the men's side. It's something that had to be discussed because, guys, it looks like it's 99.99% sure going to happen. LA Knight will not win this thing, which we all thought, okay, it's sitting right in their lap. No, Logan Paul is walking away with that thing. And for the females, get this. Io Shirai, Io Sky, is set to win Money in the Bank, or at least the internal talks that we are hearing. And I have this backed up by credible sources. Io is the one that's currently being penciled in to win this thing. You guys say, BC, that's one of your favorites. You always say it's one of the best female wrestlers on the planet, BC. No question, and I'll continue to do such. In any other scenario, you would think her hoisting up that briefcase at the end of a ladder match would make more sense than anyone else, and it would be justified, and it would be hard-earned, and it would be the right decision. But look at how we just went about this. You talk about ass backwards, guys, in this company. Io just had a title match with, was it Bianca Belair? Bianca Belair, correct? And that was at Backlash, I want to say. Because WrestleMania was Asuka and then Night of Champions. I think it was Backlash Puerto Rico. Io had a match with Bianca, and Bianca defeated Io. Io tried to get the championship. Io failed. So what do they do a month later, guys? They have Io win a Money in the Bank ladder match to get a briefcase to try to cash in for a championship. We already saw her lose. Well, BC, she can go for the other one then. The other brand, BC. Or she'll just wait and she'll take somebody else on, right? Because Bianca doesn't have the title right now, BC, and they're on different brands. You could come up with any scenario. My point is, why book her to go for a title and have her lose, and then a month later, you have her standing at the top of a ladder with a briefcase trying to get people excited for a title match when we just saw her in a title match and lose? This is the mind-boggling booking of this company, like Asuka losing at WrestleMania, now making her 0-5 at Mania, when they could have given her finally a big Mania match victory. Finally, let her be 1 out of 5. No, they take a massive moment from Asuka. They do this weird draft where Bianca ends up going to a different brand with her Raw title. She goes to SmackDown, making her title reign so awkward. And then they have her lose the title to Asuka on a Saturday afternoon in Saudi Arabia. Why did you not just have Bianca drop it at Mania then? And have her start fresh? Drafted without a title, which is muddying the waters and blurring the lines. Have her start fresh on SmackDown. It made no sense. They took away Asuka's big Mania moment and gave it to her on a Saturday afternoon. So that Belair could have like the longest reigning Raw title champion, whatever, women's title reign. I don't even know what it was for. But it was a botch. And now Io, they throw her into Backlash. They have her lose because they had nothing else, most likely. They're just like, hey, we need a filler. Just lose to Bianca. And then a month later, they're like, well, come to think of it, let's do this a little bit more properly. Win Money in the Bank, and then we'll give you another opportunity later. I love Io. When I hear her name being talked about as the one penciled in to win, it warms my heart to a degree. And then I think, wait, it doesn't make sense. I just wish this company made more sense. Do things more accurately so the fans really can buy into what you're selling us. Don't understand it, guys. It'll be one of those moments where I'm so happy for her Saturday night when it happens. And then on the other hand, I'm like, why couldn't we just do this the right way from the jump? Why even have her in that match in Puerto Rico? You know what I mean? Why not hold off, build her up at Backlash going forward, and then have her culminating moment at Money in the Bank until she gets the title? I don't... And chances are with this company, she won't even win the title, guys. So cash in and fail, especially if they're going to keep her as a heel. I wouldn't put it past this company. Does it lead to Asuka versus Io? This is a match we all thought we were going to get, and we ended up seeing Asuka and Charlie Flair for Friday night, this Friday. And most likely Charlie Flair gets it. But I doubt she's going to go for Rhea Ripley's championship. And they're setting something up with Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez. And then we hear that there's a big summer feud that was planned for Becky Lynch and Rodriguez. I don't know if this company really thinks things through, man. And then you hear decisions like this, and it's clear that they don't think things through. And that's what aggravates a lot of fans. And I can totally see that. Even with one of my favorites, Io, being penciled in. It's mind-boggling how they don't think. Guys, that's what I got for. If I keep talking about it, we'll probably lose more brain cells. I can't. I wish I could tell you what their thought process is. I don't think they think things through. That's all I'm going to leave it at. Because Logan Paul winning over LA Knight is wrong. Io winning is not necessarily wrong, but it's done ass backwards. Guys, before we take off on this podcast, I want to give a big shout out to some of my super thankers from the last podcast. That was the SmackDown review that we put up early Saturday morning. It was recorded on Friday night. We had to take a red-eye flight. In fact, took a 7-hour flight early this morning. We're running on no sleep as we record this podcast, but it's all good, man. I'm amplified 24/7 anyway. But I had to film that, record that on Friday night, put that out to you guys on Saturday. And you guys were awesome, man. A lot of coffee thrown to BC in that podcast. Like Big Nang with that 2-spot. Thanks, BC. I'm more an Attitude Era person. So my top favorite tag teams is as follows. Dudley Boys 1, Edge and Christian 2, New Age Outlaws 3, APA 4, and the Hardy Boys 5. We were talking about favorite, like who you would put 5... in a list of your 5 greatest tag teams that you've ever witnessed. We talked about that on Friday because I feel the Usos get passed up a lot. So a lot of you guys were telling me your top 5 teams. In the history of you watching pro wrestling, your top 5. And Big Nang says Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian, New Age Outlaws, APA, and the Hardy Boys. Janelle Layton with a 5-spot coffee. I appreciate that in the super thankses of that last podcast. Janelle says, I now have 6-month membership, BC. Thank you, BC. Enjoy your travels. Janelle, 6 months strong for the memberships on the channel. I told you I was saving that last swig to you, Janelle. 6 months strong. And we've only had memberships on the channel for 6 months. So, Janelle, down from day one. Salute to the Usos, too. Janelle, salute. I appreciate you. And the travels, yeah, they were long. But it was good. It's good to be back in the office studio and rocking these podcasts out for you, Janelle. Godswilla with a 2-spot coffee and the super thankses of that last podcast. The Usos are so goated because of their in-ring work, storytelling, their amplification, pun intended, makes them the best, at least in this era. Godswilla. Appreciate the coffee, and you are so right, man. There's a reason that they're my favorite tag team for sure. And I don't say that lightly. Oh, my favorite wrestler, man. Or my favorite tag team, right? It sounds stupid. But the Usos top the list. Godswilla, I appreciate it, man. Also, Asato Fortune, I want to say. Asato Fortune with a... Hold on, I got to get it back on the big screen here. Sato Fortune says, for some reason I'm seeing the handle and not the actual name, but love your content, BC. Always keeping it factual. One team I really miss is American Alpha, Chad and Jason. Jason Jordan is what Sato was talking about. Chad and Jason would have been big if the team division was handled, if the tag team division was handled correctly and without Jason's injury. No question, sky was the limit for them, man. And I don't even think that was they would have cascaded through the sky somehow. So I absolutely agree with that. Sato Fortune, appreciate the coffee, man. Also, WWE, AEW, Marvel fan. Top 5 teams, Road Warriors, Demolition, the Briscoe Brothers, the Usos, and the Hart Foundation. What a list from my Gold Channel Member of the Week, WWE, AEW, Marvel fan. Now that is a list. Dante Jaron 23, 2-spot coffee. What's good, BC? Was enjoying my birthday until I decided to watch SmackDown. Shake my head. Even the alcohol couldn't help save that show for me. Happy birthday, Dante Jaron 23. Belated, man. You're sending a coffee to BC. I'm sending well wishes over to you, and hopefully you kicked ass, man. You stayed amplified on your birthday. Yeah, SmackDown probably wasn't the way to party, bro. WWE, AEW, Marvel fan, 2-spot coffee. I feel so bad for Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. They should have won, as it would have helped the division. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler winning isn't going to help them. In fact, it's going to hurt the division even more. All I see is another reason why Sasha and Naomi walked out. The decision to have Rousey and Baszler win was pathetic to an amplified measure, and there's fans that are actually defending this. No doubt, brother. You know how I feel about that, man. JR9 Gaming, 2-spot. Super thanks. JR9 Gaming says, my gals were done absolutely filthy last night. Simultaneously tapping out made them look so damn weak. Alba and Isla should have won, as starting a division with them at the top is the only chance it had of succeeding. It's so frustrating that in just their second main roster match, they lost their titles in the middle of a SmackDown and then get discarded like trash by being afterthoughts to Liv's return. Absolute disgrace. I turned the show off in support of my gals, and Triple H was a coward for not doing it last night, or for doing it last night and not on the UK SmackDown, as he knew the UK would riot. Plus, Liv Morgan once again being held down in a tag team is a horrendous way to return, and she is still facing Ronda 1 year after starting her face in the Money in the Bank cash in. Just pathetic treatment. Thankfully, JC was on NXT Level Up after SmackDown, beating Ivy Nile. So glad at least one of my gals got a victory. Plus, Byron Saxton was on commentary, and listening to him reminded me why he has to return to Raw, replacing KP. He's too good to be regulated to interviews. Now returning to Alba and Isla, WWE must get creative now for anyone to take them seriously. If you ask me, them joining Bray and Uncle Howdy whenever they return is the way to go. Their whole witch gimmick would mesh so damn well with Bray. Sign me the fuck up. I just want Bray back. I wanted Alexa with him. Alexa gets pregnant. Good for her, by the way. Congratulations to Alexa. But selfishly, I wanted her and Bray back together. But if you're going to give me Isla and Alba and you bring their gimmick, you talk about Mesh JR9, that'll be, once again, easily Bray Wyatt, top of my list gimmick-wise. He still is, even though he's been gone for months. So that would be a way to save them for sure from what the fuck happened to them with Ronda and Baszler this past Friday night. Really good take there. All of it. JR9 Gaming, man. Always love to hear your take on that. Appreciate the coffee, obviously. I'm going to be your 20th like on that too, man. A bunch of people saw that and smashed that up, so I will be the 20th on that. How's that sound? And if I missed any super thankers, I'll get you in the next podcast, man. I got low battery. BC is going to go get a couple more coffees. Wreck the day, absolutely stay amplified and whoop the day's ass. And I hope to be with you guys maybe before Monday Night Raw. Maybe we could do a live stream beforehand, set up Monday Night Raw for tonight. And see anything else that we have for Money in the Bank. BC, top guy, I'm out. Until next time, and there will be a next time, maybe even later tonight, maybe members only live chat, or maybe we can open it up to the entire Red Team. We'll see. But BC, out. Check you.